To say that I'm joined now by Jess McFadyen from Motorsport.com. Hello, Jess. It's nice to talk to you.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, great to be here.
Good morning. Are you excited for the season ahead?
Yes, it's a weird feeling. It's been like the shortest off season ever. So between last season and this season has been a really short amount of time. And obviously we've had so much going on in the world of F1 in that time. It almost feels a bit like whiplash that we're going back racing already. But it's all new this season. So there's so much to unpack, even just from the few days that we've had at Bahrain already. We've not even had any proper on-track action yet. So it's a good start to 2022.
And do you feel a different buzz this year? I think Formula One has gone on to a different height after last year. Obviously, the title race was something else. Whether you were Team Lewis or Team Max, it was just sensational from the start to the end, the whole season, really. Is there a different buzz around it now?
Yeah, I think there are still some headaches that are rolling on from last season. But as you said, the fact that it was so competitive up until the very last corner of the very last lap, this season has got a lot to live up to, and we're about to enter a brand new era of Formula One. So not only do we have the precedent of last year, we've now got brand new looking cars. We've got people in different teams this year. There's a lot going on. Even the race weekend format this year has changed. So today, I'm still getting my head around it. It's all been a bit different and a bit topsy-turvy. So today is a brand new format. So all the media sessions are happening this morning, and then this afternoon we get a first look at the cars on track and hopefully seeing their real potential, because we've had two pre-season tests where we've seen the cars get shaken down and kind of see, maybe we can guess what the pecking order is. But this afternoon we should really get a sense of who might be on the ball and who's not.
Yeah, there's a lot going on and some new rules as well thrown in there, and we're going to get to chatting all about that as well. But something I thought was interesting as well during the week, just with the press conferences, I heard Lewis just speaking about how you learn so much more from obviously what happened to him coming in second place, that you learn and you grow. Do you think that he's sort of thriving on all of this now and that he likes it? There's this bit of competition for him?
I think he's been genuinely asking for a worthy competitor for quite a few seasons now. I think the last time he was challenged as much as Max Verstappen challenged him last season was when we had Nico Rosberg as his teammate. So there has been a bit of a period of, he's had some great run-ins, the competition between him and Sebastian Vettel when Vettel was at Ferrari in kind of 2018. That was a really close showing. But Lewis Hamilton had to dig deep and find that extra edge that we know he's got, but maybe has been a bit sleepy for the past few seasons. So, and I think the Mercedes team ethos is very much, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes, which for an 8-time constructors title winning team may be easier to say than actually live through. But I do really believe that their team ethos is very much surrounded by that you can rise from your defeats, but you don't learn much in success. So they're quite humble like that, even if they have basically beaten almost every F1 record going. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, because Mercedes do look like they're slightly on the back foot already. So it's going to be how they manage that and whether they can be competitive and bring another title race to Max.
And with Mercedes, we see the new pairing, which is really interesting. Bottas, he was such a good teammate. I think that was something that he did so well. Like, he sacrificed a lot at times for Lewis.
100%. He was Lewis Hamilton's dream teammate. Didn't really challenge him too much, but still did enough to mean that they brought home the Constructors' Championship. So it is going to be a weird dynamic, because George Russell has been wanting this shot ever since he entered into Formula One. So 3 seasons now. This is his 4th season. And he desperately wants to be challenging for world titles. He's an extremely successful driver in the junior categories, pretty much won everything going. And he entered into Formula One in a backmarker team. So he's got a point to prove. And it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out between the very successful 7-time world champion and this new driver in terms of someone who could be winning world championships.
Yeah, I think that's something everybody's going to have a close eye on. And then for Max Verstappen, then it's sort of fresh pressure to defend a title rather than having to chase one like he always has been.
Yeah, and interesting, Fernando Alonso, who himself is a two-time world champion, came out and said that the pressure's off now. He's won it. So, he doesn't really have a point to prove. And Max has always been very pragmatic about stuff like this. He's, in his mind, whether or not this is true or not, because Max doesn't often let you into his psyche and the way that he's thinking. He's very guarded about that. He's like, well, I've completed Formula One now, so I'm just out here having fun. Whether or not that actually plays out, if it gets tight, I don't think so. But it is quite difficult to defend a world title. Before the dominance of Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton, it didn't happen. So it is going to be interesting. But that Red Bull does look like they've brought a very, very good package. So it could be that Max is a very happy boy this season.
And how has testing gone for them?
Yeah, testing has been very, very interesting. We've got a brand new era of car, as we've said, so nobody really knows how the cars are going to properly act out on track until we got track running. And there's been a lot of kind of cloak and dagger, especially at the top teams. Red Bull came out on the final day of testing with a brand new side pod setup that obviously set us with our cameras snapping, trying to guess what they were doing. So they've kept their cards very close to their chests and kind of only left it to the last minute to see the full package that they've been bringing, which has been really interesting. We've always had that in testing. No one really wants to show their hand until the first race weekend, but there was a lot of that. I mean, we had Mercedes reveal their side podless car, which is a completely different interpretation of the rules, which is, it gives us column inches to write about on the tech side, which is brilliant. But yeah, it does from what we saw in terms of, because what we're looking for testing is reliability. So how many laps are they putting in? Are they breaking down? Are they having any issues? Red Bull's had a pretty much clean running, like nothing. They topped the timesheets, they put in lots of laps. So they were looking particularly strong. Whereas the likes of Mercedes, we're kind of sat here going, I think they've got maybe a bit of work to do to make that W13 drivable. So it's kind of been the great thing is that from about fifth backwards, we have no idea. Like none. Everybody keeps asking us, give us your top 10 in terms of team pecking order. And we can kind of all maybe semi-agree on the top 4, but then 5th to 10th, we're like, it's anybody's game, which is great. But we also want that at the top of the field. But it does look like we have more teams closer to the front that could be in contention for race wins, which is great.
And just in Formula One, like during the testing, is there mind games that goes on? Because obviously we're talking about Mercedes not really being up to scratch, but do they do this on purpose a little bit to hold back and not obviously show their full hand?
Yeah, so sandbagging, as we call it, is definitely something that you see in testing. But from the conversations that people have had at track, from what we've heard from the team principals, I don't think that's the case at Mercedes.
Okay,
I really don't think. I think there's more to it. I think we've had things where they physically sawed off parts of their front wing to try and increase airflow around the car. So they're doing things like taking tools to bits of bodywork and trying to manipulate them. And we've had McLaren had brake problems. They couldn't cool down their brakes. So they were super quick, but they couldn't slow down the car. So, we definitely have had storylines where I don't think anybody's holding back here. Now, we have had instances, probably the most famous was in 2009 with Brawn GP, where they turned up and they purposefully went very slowly because they couldn't believe just how well they'd got their setup together. And they ended up absolutely dominating that season and winning. It's one of the great stories of Formula One, Brawn GP and Jenson Button's title-winning year. But it's a
Looks like we just lost Jess there for a moment. I think it was coming and going for the last few minutes. It was touch and go. It's very interesting to hear that about the Formula One, and I'm no expert by any means, but I would think that there is mind games that goes on, because just like if you're going out, maybe in the league, we could, an example for GA, that you don't show your full hand, that you try things out and you maybe give other players a chance and all of these things. And I'm sure with Formula One, they don't want to go out and show their best side, their best car, all of their attributes that, you know, they want to hold things back to be able to push on and really to win. And yeah, it's unbelievable. But Jess is something else. She really has all the insight for us. And we're going to be chatting as well just about the rule changes. I think that's really a big talking point as well at the minute, because last year, obviously, we seen in the last lap what happened with the safety car, and I think they've changed the wording of that. So we're going to be chatting away to just hear how that goes. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get Jess back, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll definitely have another chat with her again soon.